I will give you the answer right off the bat. No, the Dracanian Anniversary Festival is not better than last year's. But not for the reasons you might expect. I'm not implying that the event is bad in any way. In fact, I would still rank it S tier, specifically in the top 3 events since level 100. There was an attempt to improve the event with this year's editions, which I will go over after this transition. This event introduced a bit of a challenge in the Soul Frenzy arena. Despite me making fun of the name chosen for this boss last time, this arena is not exactly a joke. For once, it has been recolored to fit the mood, which is always nice. Although, getting to that arena is a bit of a problem. You could get 2 free entries from the progress bar, as well as 1 more from Eval Forset. But 3 runs aren't quite enough, unless you choose to go only on Parallel World Bloodshed. And if you wanted more, your choices are either 9000 Endermans, 3400 Crystals of Truth, or farming boss arena preemptively until you drop the last chip. This has made the overall completion of all the bars somewhat more challenging, to say the least. Because if previously you could solo the monster arenas and needed help with only the boss arena, now you would need help with 2 arenas instead. Which honestly is not even that big of a deal. Anniversary has been one of the easiest events to complete ever since 2021, especially since it lasts 30 days. This should have been plenty of time to find some help for 4 runs of this arena. Luckily, it was only 4 runs. Since this arena includes a, how do I say it, huge roadblock, it is extremely difficult to clear the arena within the 5-minute timer you get from the buff that doubles your drops. But as it turns out, this arena's chest drops double progress regardless of whether you have the buff or not. There's also the Soul Frenzy ship and Soul Pinatas. And what can I say besides free extra loot? This edition did make the achievement hunting harder for those who didn't collect all anniversary achievements last year, as Soul Pinatas are limited to 4 per year if you choose not to pay, but after all, that is still 4 free golden pinatas. That's 40 extra Imperial Gems that you didn't have last year. Granted, it requires almost 30,000 Crystals of Truth to buy, which could limit how much stuff you can get from Festus's shop. This in my opinion is okay, as it provides further incentive to actively farm the event for Crystals of Truth, alongside the already valuable Pinata Truncheons. After all, remember that 30-day event can be completed in 3 hours, and without the Larsen's Dark Dwarfs mini event, farming the weapon would hurt your progression, as most treasure maps cannot drop if the mini is not active. Oh, right, we also got a new amulet. Cool effect, but not really useful for PvE. And I don't like PvP. At all. Moving on. There were also the Dark Knight's Dependence and Cake Boss offers, which I promptly ignored last video. The first pet is for collection purposes only, while the Cake Boss is a direct power creep of Cake Mini, but both are still only usable on a very specific stage in the mid game. Also, Boss Arena chest drops an extra 500 group essences and 3 spirit stones. For some reason. There are also 4 new spectral mounts that have up to 8 movement speed if you have the movement speed bonuses from the horses, dragons, and wild beast categories. Okay, fine. Even I got bored writing those last 2 sentences. Let's shift the spotlight to the changes from last year. Something that made me really upset last year was the failed introduction to cakes. These cakes were the first iteration of the free types of lucky bags that typically have high chance for a low value drop and low chance of something of high value. However, these cakes differ in 2 ways. They have 0 cost and generally fine rewards. Other than the lockpicks and the stack of 50 Endermans, everything you get is a decent bonus for farming something you would already farm anyway. Granted, I wish these crafting ingredients would drop at a 3 to 2 to 1 rate to avoid having excess eggs and cream, and also these being stored in the food section in the collector's bag, but at least seeing some drops now was kind of exciting. Well, for the most part. If any of you have played the event on test server, you might know that the ingredients dropped significantly more frequently. The last minute nerf isn't necessarily bad, but rather it was confusing to see it happen without it being documented in the patch notes for the final release. I want to specify that it is okay for an event with already insane rewards and general drops to have some aspect of its drops reduced. Thinking back to Defeat Undefeatables, the 2022 edition was probably the most exhausting and frustrating one for me to play, purely because it was so good for farming shiny dust that it made any other dust farms irrelevant, not only while it was running, but also for some time after that. While I do consider Anniversary a top tier event with so much content, there is bound to be some stuff that is either annoying or just awful when it comes to it. So let's talk about those topics as well. Starting off with a mild complaint, I can't get over the fact that the Grima Pinata did not get changed. The regular pinatas are made in such a way that you're meant to open some of them until RNGesus decides to give you the golden pinata truncheon for that pinata. Generally, despite there being 7 pinatas, you don't need to open all 7, besides for achievements. As such, when Grima Pinata was introduced, I was expecting there to be some purpose. But as it turns out, there is no achievement, no great drops, and making a video on them doesn't net great views either. And if you're watching this far, don't go to that video. I don't want pity views on an old video, that's not the point. Point is, I don't like pointless additions that can be found by players who aren't trying to. Stuff like pointless offers only matter to those who actively use the shop. But the fact is, pointless additions available in plain sight can sometimes be more disappointing than no additions. Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room. The event is not often discussed for its length, its amazing gem drops, or its achievements. Oftentimes, it is not even about the Lost Treasure maps, which have been the best money offer for Infernal Passages and Shiny Dust.
Why?
It is, of course, about the Anniversary weapon. A double damage line weapon, which many people get confused about, that also has extra attack speed and a cool effect that sometimes even does something. The weapon looks great. Until you spend your current enderments, your life savings, and your insurances just for RNGesus to say screw you. In fact, since this has been the case for 3 years, it's not uncommon for people to beg for the weapon to become obtainable with 100% guarantee in some way. And before I give my opinion on that, I want to say that it took me until 2023 to find a weapon on Ranger. As of the end of Anniversary 2024, I found a second weapon on Ranger and still 0 on my Mage. So, in a way, I play both a character that already has one and one that doesn't have the weapon. And here is what I want to say in regards to that. That weapon is the best weapon in the game, no questions asked. Depending on class and also amount of damage runes, the weapon can make a difference as little as 60,000 or as much as over 100,000 damage when compared to Q4. This can make a huge difference in farming speed if you already are at the two-handed stage. For Dragon Knights and Steam mechanics with Glenfarne Jewel and Offhand, the Anniversary weapon is the only weapon that can deal similar damage. This weapon is an extreme time saver and thus a nice luxury. And that's really about it. In a game where even the highest difficulty feels like normal mode, and where bosses are defeated faster than clearing a large clump of monsters, Damage above a certain threshold barely ever matters. The motto of this game is kill before you get killed, and having extra 100,000 damage on your profile will probably not change that. The weapon does not define your build, and thus, unlike a certain set I want to rant about in a future video, is completely fine the way that it is. But naturally, some of you watching this part of the video will inevitably disagree. After all, why add a new equipment to an event to excite players if those players can never get it? But the thing is, it's not even the correct kind of exciting. Once again, the unique line does nothing, and making the weapon guaranteed will certainly upset players who got it before. So, the only fair way to adjust things if you want the weapon to be guaranteed farmable is to actively nerf the weapon. And you need to hear me out on this. I don't really believe me throwing this idea out there will change things regarding the weapon. But if I were in charge to force the weapon to have a guaranteed way to obtain, I would remove the second damage line and instead greatly buff the unique line, making it trigger on crits instead of on kills. This way, not only do you get actual bonus damage versus single targets, but options for changing physical build to elemental build may arise, primarily for Ranger in the current state of class builds. Of course, this would have to be announced way before the change kicks in. As for how much grant you should expect for one weapon, I can never know for sure. You get 49 completely free entries during one event, 20 more for a total of 25,000 Undermounts, and each after that comes at 5,000 Undermounts, or a lucky drop from the anniversary ship. The Undermount balance in this game doesn't really exist ever since lucky bags were added to the shop. Additionally, I always get 250,000 Undermounts within just a single 24,000 Undermount smuggler event. So even putting something like 150 runs, which mind you can cost 430,000 Undermounts, is essentially free to certain part of the player base, and definitely a joke to those who spent the last 4 years getting one or none at all. The price should be said to be large enough that only the unluckiest few percent who don't find it from the chest once should really be the ones to make use of this. And of course, since we're removing the second damage line and only relying on the unique value to carry the weapon's status, making it obtainable with a simple quest as a level 100 version should do the trick. I must reiterate that despite my weapon ramble for the last 5 minutes, this event is S tier even if that weapon did not exist. The gem quantity is second to only defeat the undefeatables, and this can even apply to early level 100 characters. Also, if Summer Festival is the best time to start leveling a character, the anniversary is placed perfectly after that to boost up a new level 100 with the Amplify Healing Jewel, Winter Runes, and Jewel Chests. Alright, the anniversary part is over, so if you don't want to listen to the off-topic stuff I have to say, you're free to go. In any case, thank you for watching this far. But also, thank you guys for getting my channel to 500 subscribers. It really doesn't sound like a whole lot, even for a Jack and Sang YouTube channel, but if you imagine a stadium where every single subscribed person is in the audience, and you can see all of these at once, you'll realize that this is a lot of people. Of course, I don't really treat it like that, as one, I'm kinda introverted and you will never get me to make a speech willingly, and two, I genuinely enjoy the final result of the videos I make. Not so much the process of making them most times. But also believe whoever is subscribed can say the same for at least one of them. Although, to be fair, what I enjoy the most is your comments. Many of my videos are just whack ideas. Even when I'm being generic with event rundowns, I try to add my opinion to it, to which I approve both the supporting and opposing sides. So, let it be known that any insightful comment in my comment section is appreciated. Statistically, when I release an event video after the event, it does poorly. So if you're hearing that part, thank you for being here. Or for playing the video and leaving the room, I guess. Watch time is also good, I suppose. See you next time.